Hello everyone, and welcome back to Sharded. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Mike, and today we're going to be talking about Repro-BOOM. Hey guys, welcome back to Sharded. We had a crazy weekend of Argent Saga news, spoilers all over the place, and there was some weird stuff happening this weekend that we kind of want to cover. And the main card that was the cause of a lot of the friction was a card called Repro-BOOM. So I just want to quickly read the card and assume we're going to put the card up on the screen. So the card is from the upcoming set. It is an Argent, so it's a gray card, 2 cost, 1,000 strength, mutation 002, Repro-BOOM. It's a unit experiment. When this card is targeted by a spell or ability, you may put into play 2 experiment unit tokens. So they are unit experiment Argent 1,000 tokens when it's targeted. So Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about the text on this card and why it was problematic?
So I think fundamentally when you look at this, you're like, all right, my opponent lightning shots him.
Right.
And he's a target of a spell.
Right.
He poops out 2 guys, and then he dies. Right. That's fundamentally, I think, the 10,000 foot view of how this guy works.
Right.
However, it's any time he's targeted by a spell or an ability. So you can use something. The one that I heard most recently was Rain. Right. So you can use Rain to target him, discard no cards to give him nothing. And then, because he's still a target, right? So, and then he pops out. And even if that interaction isn't technically correct, you can still do the Rain thing.
There's so many things that targets, right?
Right. And then there's, of course, the negative interaction, which we'll go into how this has been solved already. But there's Gloom Oligarch, right? So Gloom Oligarch is sacrifice a unit, target unit gets plus 1,000 this turn, or target unit gets minus 1,000. So with Repro-BOOM, right, what you can do is you can sack a unit. Or let's assume that you do something else to poop out 2 units. Then use Oligarch to sack one of the units you just pooped out to give Repro-BOOM another 1,000, and then he poops out 2 more, and so on and so on.
You just filled your board with attackers.
Yeah.
And Oligarch is interesting because it's an instant speed with no limitation. Right. And it happens. I can do it anytime there is anytime a priority. I can sack a dude. So this is I thought this would be very interesting. Like on your turn, as you're finishing up, I do this during your turn, right? And then when it's my turn, I've got a board of 1,000 point attackers, right?
So, or you just do it in responses to cancel stuff or whatever you need to do, right? It's not good.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily know. I'm not exactly sure. What the idea behind this card was. I'm sure it was probably good intentions. Like, it'd be cool if, like, every time your opponent, like you said, you're going to lightning shot my card, you're going to put, like, the delay poison on it, like...
Outcome 2.
Yeah, outcome 2, and then he dies. Right, but leave it to us to have 4 minutes alone with a card.
And to be clear, in those situations that we just specified, he does still die.
Correct, yeah.
Right. So... I'm wondering if he shouldn't have just been, instead of all the other stuff that happened, shouldn't they just eroded him maybe to say your opponent's effect?
Right. Yeah, right. That would be, and I wonder if that was ultimately what they were shooting for, and just kind of maybe.
I have to believe it was, but you never know.
Yeah. Right. So there was some stuff that happened in response to Repro-BOOM. Do you want to talk about what?
Well, the first one, we were just talking about the Oligarch, right? So Oligarch.
Yeah, Oligarch got the ban, and not suspended, banned. So it's the day that set 2 drops, you will no longer be able to play Gloom Oligarch, which makes me very sad because I played Dark, and it is a great tool for getting out of your opponent's removal. So I'm going to miss that card a lot, but I can't see. There's no way that those 2 cards could exist as written in the same game. Like, it's impossible. So I get it. I totally get it. So yeah.
So, that's very interesting. But interesting, though, Repro-BOOM is not touched. He's still in existence.
So you have this card that's causing so much angst. Right. And it was like, didn't get any adjustment. Right.
And that was what Mike and I were talking right before the episode, and I was like, I don't understand why they wouldn't have just banned the Repro-BOOM. He's like, well, you're not going to do that to a card you just printed. And I'm like, but it hasn't changed anything yet.
Right.
Right? So you could just be like, JK, enjoy your token.
So
because it's just a common, right?
It is a common. So this will be like, I'll have this in my first like box, right? I'll have a full play set. Like all the kids at the store will have play sets after my 3 boxes, right? I think just a slight counterpoint to what you said. I don't like that Oligarch was banned because I like playing with the card, but I will say that it is strong in a color that's already very strong. So I don't mind if they take a little bit of air out of dark. Wait,
that's actually a good lead.
That's funny. Yeah. So sorry. I don't mind if they take a little spit out of dark, right? So it is so strong. Like at these top tournaments, it's dark and then green, like splashing green, or they're splashing Sola, but it's almost all like.
And why is everybody splashing green, Mike?
Oh, that's funny. So so there's this little card called Sylphia, which I conveniently sold for a lot of money a month ago. Before it
works.
Also got the ban hammer today. Yeah.
So Sylphia is gone.
Yeah.
I obviously am an air player. I will be honest, I couldn't care less because I don't own one.
Right.
And I'm also really excited because you know who just became really, really, really good? Gary.
It's interesting because
Gary, our Lord and Savior.
Sylphia was a great answer to both. You mentioned that in our text message today. You're like, why would they ban the card that's like a hard counter to Repro-BOOM, right?
Because you call even, and guess what goes back to their deck?
All of it.
And all of his tokens.
I will say, I think that the reason that the banning of Sylphia is okay with me as a more casual player is it's harder. It's expensive, right? That's great. So get it out of here. But Green already has some ways to deal with Garga, which is excellent. It's a 4-cost, right?
Garga's 5.
Garga's 5, yeah. So it's a great finishing. It's
Garga,
very
you
fair.
have to call one, so you could only bounce either Bloom or his minions. Right, so you can't bounce them both.
Yeah, I just think it was maybe having Sylphia and so if Repro-BOOM exists, right, and it's super hard to deal with, then what happens is the game reacts to that. Right, to like, I'm tired of getting Repro-BOOMed, right? So then everyone runs to green, which they're already playing a bunch of green anyway, right? So
as a splash.
And I think that maybe be part of this Sylphia ban as well, is there was an inordinate amount of green being played at the top tables. And one thing that ARG has proven to me over this few months that we've been playing is that they are really interested in keeping the meta diverse. Like they want to see, in the top 16, they want to see 6 different champions. It's never going to happen, but it could. Maybe one of these days it could happen. But they want to see different champions. They want to see different colors. And when you look at these big tournaments, the top 16 are all Hoenn and Kite. Like 12 of them are Hoenn Kite. 3 of them are Hoenn Sola, and then one guy is rocking, like the just straight yellow, right, or the light color, whatever. Yeah, light. Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting, and I think that maybe part of the call for Sylphia's head was this card is just too dang good. But you know what got really good because of that banning was that freaking Juggernaut.
Yep.
Oh my God! Like that was one of the few ways that you could easily take care of Juggernaut.
If Juggernaut wasn't annoying enough.
Right. Yeah. That was interesting. So Jim did a cast today. Not during work hours. It was during my lunch, which is great. But he did a cast, and they talked about having a ban list, right, and then also a suspended list. So Ergon was on the suspended list, right? So and then there's a watch list.
Watch list. Okay, so that's the third one. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So he mentioned during it is the watch list for them is an internal list they keep of cards that they're basically keeping an eye on. They want to see how this card is doing, like during these tournaments, and they keep track of deck lists all the way down to store level. Like when you go in and submit, if you're doing even a store level, you're a store like a regional. I think a regional level.
I was gonna say we definitely don't do that.
Well, I don't. We probably should though. Like we're supposed to be logging our deck list, like in the Eris app, and then.
Well, I know that we've been recording who we're playing, like the champion and spirit,
right?
But I haven't turned in a deck list for sure.
Yeah, and I think when we get down to like when Gongai starts getting like cup level stuff. which is slightly below the regional, right? So it's more like a store championship, but they'll be more often. More often than Destiny, sorry. Like it'll be more than once a year. So I think then they'll be able to peer down to that level, and they can see what cards are to look for, like what cards are consistently coming in these top decks, and those cards end up on the watch list. So they mentioned that Repro-BOOM is already like obviously on the watch list. Yeah. So they mentioned that Yuki. Not Yuki. Yeah, the yellow, the one we wanted so bad. She's light.
Yeah,
it comes out of your hand when you.
She's on the watch list.
She's on the watch list, right? Just because they want to see how, because it is a very powerful effect. It is a stupid powerful effect. It's actually a game losing effect for someone who's behind, because if I'm down to no towers, right, and I'm trying to make a comeback in the game, it's like I just insta lost because I attacked your tower,
and then I drop it. Yeah.
And then if I didn't time it well, like I just lost trying to play the game, which I think is the big problem with Yuki, is it punishes. It's a win more.
Yuki's not a win more.
It punishes.
But it can be. I understand your.
It punishes someone for trying to do the basic part of the game, which is to sack a tower, and the towers already do that. So if I sack your tower and you kill one of my units and then drop a unit on me, that's like way strong.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
Anyway, but that's why a card like that would end up on the watch list, I think. And
interesting.
And they're talking about maybe making that watch list like public. Like you could go to the web.
But then what would you do with that information? Not play something on the watch list?
I just think I think it's more of like a healing tool. Like people are like raging about a card.
Oh, I see.
Right? And like, they're paying attention.
Yeah, but then in 3 months people will just be like, well, they've got this watch list and they never do anything about it, right?
Well, that's one thing I've learned about ARG is they definitely are not. They're okay with banning crap. Like they don't put up with a card being too broken for too long.
Yeah. So I mean, fair enough. I think so. This all literally happened hours before
ago.
we shot this.
We were like, what are we going to talk about today? Oh wow, that actually happened.
So yeah, Mike blew me up, and then somebody else blew me up within like 20 minutes. Be like, so Sophia, all right, go Gary.
It's interesting that a lot of the stuff that happens in the game in the meta, where these really oppressive cards come in, because of the way I think we've mentioned this before, the way our local is set up, we don't have any outside influence. Like the only outside influence is the internet.
Yeah, well, which is a pervasive, but yeah.
But like amongst us, we all play weird, different stuff because most of us are building like our own stuff based on just this limited card pool that we have. So we don't often feel like we never felt Urgon's wrath. Mm-hmm. Like not a single person ever played Urgon in our very early locals.
I think I've only had Sylphia played against me a handful of times.
Yeah. So we don't get a lot of that. Someone will bring in a deck that is kind of like they'll net deck a list, and then it feels like oppressively strong compared to our trash decks. But I get a lot of enjoyment out of taking a trash deck and then learning some of the sweet interactions on my own. Like that was one of our.
I've actually tried very hard in this game to not get like net decks and stuff and just do it myself.
Yeah, because it's not fun to experiment and find the little like, I didn't even think of that.
That's what you and I kind of started out doing. This was just gonna be like our game, right?
Remember the first time you figured out item in a game?
Yeah.
We were like, that's good. That's super cool, right? I mean, and we could have figured it out like weeks before.
Blockade ship doesn't work like that.
Yeah. So it was really that to me has been one of the cool parts. So I say all that to say that we haven't really. So these changes really don't affect like me. Oligarch sucks, but there's other cards I want to play in Dark. That's no problem, And you never owned a Still, and you weren't buying mine for $50. Right? Yeah. So like some other sucker got it, and then now it's sitting.
I mean, the biggest problem we have in our meta, I think, right now is Juggernaut.
Yeah, Juggernaut, and Juggernaut is really hard. I'm actually really excited about the Brawler ability.
Looks really fun.
Yeah, that is going to be a really cool way to speed up some of these dirtling decks that just want to hide behind a Juggernaut and may you like in something nasty, like a hit with a hard spell, and then just sit back and slow the game down. Like Brawler's going to come in and punch the crap out of your guardians. Like, I mean, it's. I think it's gonna be super fun. Like that, I'm really looking forward to that.
It's really interesting on Brawler that they can only do it the turn they come into play too. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's a good. It's powerful. I love arrive effects, and but it isn't. And I think it allows you to have some more design space too. Like you can say this guy is really good, but only the first turn that he's played.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the next set to come out. So I think there'll be a lot of changes.
Do we have a date yet for the?
Well, maybe it's out there, but I don't know it.
Okay, so, it's not this month though. Is it? Is it next?
It's November.
November. Okay, so yeah,
something November.
Yeah, I'm sure Derek will tell us.
Yeah,
when the time comes.
Anyway, yeah, we've been having fun. We've started finally running some tournaments in the area. Those games have been going up on the channel. So check them out if you haven't already. There's some good stuff on there. Yeah. And there's some other not good stuff on there. But
we're getting better though.
No,
I think our stuff's totally getting watchable. Like because the games are getting shorter and we're doing some more interesting stuff.
Oh, it's definitely watchable. I mean, everybody makes mistakes, or it's actually not mistakes as much as it is just mistriggers. Right. Yeah. But
well, there's a ton of triggers.
Yeah.
Like this game, this is like mistriggers the game.
Yeah.
Like there's just so much to keep track of. So I get how that could happen, especially to newer players. Like when you and I play, I don't think we have as many missed triggers because we play a lot of games together. Like, so there's times when you and I play, we don't even say a word to each other.
Yeah, but we may not even know that we missed a trigger. I mean,
okay, that's fair enough. Right? Yeah, that's true.
And that's really the thing of watching people play online is, if that game wasn't being recorded, Mike and I would have walked away thinking that nothing got missed, right? And when it gets missed, obviously it's there forever. So, do keep that in mind when you're watching the video and calling out mistakes. Right?
Yeah, it's interesting. This kind of relates to the whole why judging is really important in a game like this, because one missed explanation by a judge, so like if you explain something wrong and give someone misinformation, they can then take that and it spreads like a virus.
Well, and it gets applied, the same situation gets applied to other situations that may not be exactly the same. And
Right, yeah. There was a person who we were having a conversation with in the rules like Facebook page, and he was upset because he was like, no, that works that way because a judge like at the Indianapolis Championship like said that was fine. Right? And then there was like 10 people who were like, it's not, like, that sucks that you got told that, but it's not. And that's a really hard thing when you've based your play style around something and you've been told by a judge it's correct. So,
but judges are humans too.
Yeah, judges are totally human too. Especially
everybody's learning.
Indy was like what, the first, like that first one?
I think you got to swallow your salt pill on that one.
Yeah, correct.
Right? So. Yeah, anyway, it's been very exciting. We're glad to have you back. Get our next Yuki tournament, I think, next weekend.
Oh, is it? I didn't miss it?
I believe so.
They didn't play Yuki tournament last weekend?
No. Yeah. So we had a tournament. Everybody showed up thinking it was going to be Yuki, but it wasn't. But that's all right.
Yeah, Mike's not here. No Yuki tournament.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's right. So, I don't know. Let's wrap this up and get out of here. Do you have anything else to add?
Just go Commando.
Go Commando.